Um, One thing that strikes me now, as you know, you've been doing your stuff for a while now, is that when you started, a lot of people were asking, how does Frank Turner, ex Million Dead, feel about putting down his guitar? And now you've moved into a place where, conceivably, that past isn't really, on a lot of people's minds.
Yeah.
Do you feel like now, rather than trying to get away from it, you want to remind people of it?
I wouldn't go so far as to say remind people of it. One thing I would say is that I'm a lot more kind of secure personally about it. I spend a lot of time because two things I never wanted to be was either just constantly that guy who used to be in that hardcore band, or almost more so the kind of token acoustic guy within the punk scene.
Yeah.
So I spent quite a long time kind of avoiding punk shows and not touring with punk bands and stuff, just because I think that there are some people out there who are great, but it's kind of they never really kind of escape the punk scene, and I love punk and it's my background, but I don't want to be this just sort of token guy, and I'm much more interested in stuff like Neil Young and Bruce Springsteen than I am in basically playing pop punk songs on an acoustic guitar. So that was a big thing, but now I guess we've reached a stage where things are a lot more kind of established, which means that I'm more comfortable talking about Million Dead or whatever, and we did a song or two on the last tour where I put the guitar down and kind of did some.
That's what I was going to say. I mean,
frontman type stuff down.
I noticed a couple of times. I remember seeing it at the 100 Club when there was either a technical fault or whatever, and it was just you and the mic, and it seemed like it's Million Dead Frank again.
Yeah, he's come out of his shell. That was a technical fault of that show, which kind of over time has developed in when I sort of do a headline slot into a kind of thing where just at the end we kind of take a guitar off and see what happens. It's fun, I think I learned a lot of things that I know about kind of being a frontman and being on stage without a guitar around my neck, so it's kind of fun to be able to kind of go back to being able to kind of run down the front and get in people's faces and sort of crawl over the crowd and stuff without thinking, oh god, this guitar's really expensive. It's really good fun. And I guess at the end of the day, despite everything I just said, I don't ever want to put any limitations on myself and what I can be. If I really need to make a drum and bass record, then I'll make a drum and bass record. You know what I mean? And it felt cool at the time and it made the shows fun, and so it stays. That's the only real rationale, really.
Another thing, I mean, tonight is obviously an NME show, and you've been getting a lot of support from mainstream places like Radio 1, where in the past press outlets such as that never kind of touched upon you in much detail or kind of mentioned you if they had to or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
How strange is it coming across kind of this new world, this brave new world of mainstream media?
It's interesting. It's funny because it's the kind of thing that you kind of, most people, particularly if you've worked in the music industry at any level, you kind of theoretically know quite a lot about, but it's always a bit different, the reality of it. But I think that I maintain defences both in my own sort of personal healthy sense of cynicism and in the fact that the guys in my band would kick me square in the nuts. Will kick me square in the nuts if I start kind of flummoxing about or whatever. So I have kind of safety guards and not kind of swallowing the myth. Do you know what I mean? And getting too wrapped up in it. I don't know. I'm very grateful to the coverage it's receiving, and it's really wonderful that my music's being spread around to more people. That's something I've always wanted. But I'm at pains to kind of not let it change the way that I go about making my music. I suppose.
Can I grab my wallet? Sorry.
Of course you can.
There you go, man.
And one thing which I always found quite funny was that I think every time I've seen you play a headline show in London over the last 2 years, you've made a comment about specifically rejecting NME and what NME does. And,
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like I remember to a quite a ridiculous degree, like with an alarming amount of regularity as well. And now here you are standing in front of an NME.
Oh, that wasn't. I'm interested that you say that. That wasn't a concerted campaign. I don't know. I kind of I guess the thing is, my taste in music does not really coincide with what is the mainstream of what the NME covers, and and yet the NME has potential to being markets itself as this kind of like what you need to know about music. And I guess the thing for me is just that it quite often doesn't cover new bands that I like, and it quite often covers bands that I don't like, which is fine. It's prerogative of the editors to do that. But it's sort of the other thing as well is that the Enemy is so kind of ubiquitous as a media outlet that it becomes a metaphor for a lot of things as well.
Fair.
But I mean, I guess the thing is, I on the one hand, I don't have it in for the Enemy or for any other media outlet or whatever. But on the other hand, on the other side, I'm not. Neither will I kiss anybody's ass. Do you know what I mean? It's like if a magazine wants to cover me and what I do, then I'll embrace it wholeheartedly because that's great. I'm trying to promote myself. I'm trying to reach more people, and that's wonderful. And if they don't, then well, I guess it's my problem as much as anything else. But I don't know. I kind of I'm not sort of aggressive with my views about it, but I'm also not like supplicatory. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
cool. Well,
my manager's gonna hate